What is up, and welcome to SGPN's The Daily Dog. I'm your host, Britton Hess. I'm here with my favorite Underdog Fantasy Pick'em plays for Tuesday, August 27th, 2024. If you're new to Underdog Fantasy, sign up with promo code DailyDog. That's DAILYDOG at UnderdogFantasy.com or on the Underdog Fantasy app to get up to $1,000 deposit match bonus. Again, that's promo code DailyDog, one word, DAILYDOG on the app or at UnderdogFantasy.com. All right, we got to talk some tennis. Yesterday, we were so close to getting the slip home. The guy who fell short was Yoshito Nishioka. He had a total meltdown when he was up a break in the fourth set on the verge of winning 3-1. Greek Spore won in straight sets. And then we also had, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on who else we had on our slip yesterday. But whatever, until that comes back to me, let's go back to Nishioka. The dude was up on Miomir Kekmanovic a break, and he could not close it out. He ended up getting broken himself, then getting broken again, and then just melting down and retiring in the fifth set. So that was really heartbreaking because he had it all there in front of him. Oh, the last one was Lorenzo Musetti, who Musetti did a miracle to cover less than 1.5 sets lost against Riley Opelka. In the fourth set, he was down 3-5, 0-40, which means there was 4 set points for Riley Opelka. Opelka's a massive server. He is going to close that match out, or close that set out versus a player probably 90% of the time, 95% of the time. Somehow, Musetti came back, got the break back, won his service game, got another break, won his service game, won 7-5, and ended up winning the match 3-1. So Nishioka, I guess the tennis gods give us with that amazing comeback from Musetti, and they taketh away with Nishioka just completely melting down out there. But, this isn't fully a tennis podcast, although spoiler alert, this show slip is going to be all tennis again today. It's U.S. Open. You got to love it. And I just want to give a couple quick notes on day one of the U.S. Open. Men favorites went 24-6, and there was two retirements. So take those out because different sports books, different apps have different rules about retirement. So I don't really want to count those as for or against favorites. But favorites in general went 24-6 on the men's side. On the women's side, 23-7. This is a tennis betting technique my buddy Amal Shah put out, and he talked to me about it on the other show that I do called Just Win Sports. At the end of that show, we did a little bit of a tennis deep dive in betting Grand Slams and just parlaying these favorites. It's such good value because the amount of money the players win from making it to the second round at a slam versus making it to the final at a 250 level event, it's the amount of work versus the payout is not even comparable. So these good players, these players that are in the 20 through 75 range, guys that probably aren't going to be winning, a slam anytime soon, they know that their bread is buttered at these slam events. So they're going to be trying really hard and they're going to be taking care of business. That said, we are going to be fading one of these top 24 players in Arthur Fils. Arthur Fils is a guy that I really like a lot. I like him long term, but right now he is out of sorts and he's going against the young American Learner Tien, who is only 18 years old. Fils is young, like 19. Maybe he's turned 20 over the summer. I don't quite remember, but he's a young Frenchman. But Learner Tien is just 18, turned 18 back in February. I'm taking Arthur Fils to lose higher than 18 games versus Tien. That doesn't mean he's going to lose the match, but I do think the plus 250 underdog Learner Tien is in a good spot here. Fils has just been kind of a you-know-what show since he won in Hamburg on clay at the end of July. He lost in the first round of the Olympics, which really killed my futures bet there. I was so excited about his potential to make a run at the Olympics, and he didn't even make it out of the first round. Then between Montreal and Cincinnati combined, he went 1-2 against not necessarily the toughest competition. So his hard court game has not been good. Yes, he's a lot more experienced than the 18-year-old, and yes, he has won bigger matches. He's ranked number 24 in the world. Tien is outside the top 100 right now. But Tien has been putting it together a little bit in this summer. He's kind of becoming a real pro player. We saw Ben Shelton kind of have a little bit of a summer run 2 years ago and kind of kickstart his career. I don't think Ben is necessarily ready for the next step in his career, but Ben is solidly, a top American player, top 5 American player, and this could potentially be the beginning of that type of career for Learner Tien. So he's got to be, bring with confidence. He made the quarterfinals at Winston-Salem. Before that, he made it to the Was it the finals? Well, he made it to. Oh my gosh, I'm looking at the wrong guy's information. I'm looking at fees for some reason. It's lost on my sheet. Quarterfinals with Winston-Salem, beat some top 70 players there. Fees, again, is just really, really good, but this is a day match in front of an American crowd at the U.S. Open. This one's going to be starting about 11:45 a.m. Pacific, 2:45 p.m. Eastern. It'll be probably a half hour late at least because it's tennis and this is what happens. But I'm taking Arthur Fils higher than 18.0 games lost. If he loses the match, then this is going to hit. If it goes 4 or 5 sets, I'm definitely thinking this one's going to hit. And I was torn. I was thinking about higher than 1.5 sets lost. But you can, if Tien can keep this thing in tie breaks, then he doesn't even need to go to the 5th set for him to get 18 wins or game wins against Fils. So the play is Arthur Fils higher than 18 games lost against this surging young American Learner Tien. Next, we're going to another fairly young player, Mattia Bellucci, lower than 1.5 sets lost against Stan the Man Wawrinka. Stan is old as hell. Stan is not in good shape. Stan has been struggling for several years now at these Grand Slams because he just doesn't have the gas tank to go into that 4th and 5th set. So Stan could come out strong. He really could. He could win the first set and he could look great. I don't think that he's going to have the legs to outlast this young Italian who's also had a nice little summer. Quarters at Atlanta, made it out of the qualifiers, and then won a match at Washington. Then he just made the finals at the Kerry Challenger, and he lost to Roman Safulin in there, who was there for some reason. I have no idea where Roman is playing in Challenger matches to beat up on these younger players. But whatever, that's still really good. I think Safulin's probably, at least a touch above Stan right now, who's having a very forgettable season in his very likely final season as a professional. It's tough to see these legends leave, but I don't think Stan has the gas tank to beat Bellucci in 2 sets in this 5-setter at Roland Garros. This one's starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. It'll be later than that, just an FYI. You can stick with those two and get a 3x multiplier, which is Arthur Fils higher than 18 games lost and Mattia Bellucci lower than 1.5 sets lost. But I added one more. I added one on the women's side. Beatriz Haddad-Maia lower than 0.5 sets or higher. Oh my gosh, higher than 0.5 sets lost against Elina Avanesyan. Avanesyan is just a gamer. She makes matches so messy and sloppy and breaks left and right and returning stuff that she's no business returning, and then double faulting and just making a total mess. And BHM is not necessarily a player that I think is good at navigating those turbulent waters. If BHM is just keeping the service game clean and can kind of keep the game in front of her, sure, she's really good. I really like her serve. I really like her, as a player in general. But against Avanesyan, who is just so tricky to play against, and again, she just slops up the whole match, I think that it's going to be a problem for BHM, and BHM is going to drop at least 1 set here. That doesn't mean she's going to lose the match, but give me Avanesyan to win a set here, so that would be higher than 0.5 sets lost for Beatriz Haddad-Maia. So those 3 plays together. Arthur Fils higher than 18.0 games lost. Mattia Bellucci lower than 1.5 sets lost. And Beatriz Haddad-Maia higher than 0.5 sets lost against Elina Avanesyan. That is a 4.38x multiplier. Let's get a win. Let's get this tennis win. We kind of got one robbed from us yesterday. All right, quickly, I'm going to talk about our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. You can, use the code DailyDog, get a deposit match bonus of up to $1,000. Use that money for some promos. There's week 1 promos added now for that Commanders versus Buccaneers game. You got lower passing yards for Baker Mayfield. You got lower rush yards for Rashad White, lower receiving yards for Mike Evans, and lower receiving yards for Terry McLaurin. I'll get into those probably on tomorrow's show because I don't want to make this one too long. But there's definitely value there. I'm leaning towards McLaurin right now, and also I can make a case for the 3 Buccaneers as well. All right, Dong Squad yesterday, very sad. We made the call that was correct on Matt Olson to continue to kind of surge a little bit as he closes out this season and kind of put some offense forward. He got that home run for the Braves as they're in they need to keep winning games as the season closes out in baseball. So it stinks that, Jackson Merrill had, multiple hits in that game, none of them over the wall. And then Aaron Judge had a big hit in the bottom or the top of the ninth. It looked like it maybe could go up, but it ended up just being a single to right field. So the Dong squad did not get 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3. Just one came home. But today, we're going with Giancarlo Stanton versus Patrick Corbin. He's hit home runs off Corbin before. He can do it again. I know Corbin is kind of a pet of this show. We always target him for or against him because I think that his perception's a little bit off. People think he's worse than he is. That said, I think Stanton can do good against this lefty right here. So we're going to start off the swell quad there. Then we're going to the other side. We're going Joey Gallo, hit a home run versus Garrett Cole. He's done that before too. Cole was awesome in his last start. I'm not really sure that version of Cole is here to stay for the rest of the season and the postseason. Let's get Joey Gallo, who needs to make stuff happen now that he is back in the starting lineup after a prolonged injury break. Lastly, Ryan McMahon versus Rodri Munoz out at Coors Field. Munoz is the Marlins pitcher who has allowed 23 home runs in 16 starts this year. A righty versus lefty matchup. Let's go Ryan McMahon. Let's get that ball over the wall. If this goes 3 for 3, you get 36.95x your money. If it goes 2 out of 3, 8.15x. As always, manage your bankroll responsibly. Don't go crazy on the Dong squad, but when it does hit, it does feel good. And we are due to hit one of these, so let's get it today. All right, that's all I've got today. Thanks for checking out the show. Sign up with promo code DailyDog at UnderdogFantasy.com or on the app. That's all I got. Let's make some money.